Wolverine is dead, but his adamantium skeleton just stood up. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't speak, but it's still killing, and it remembers who hurt him. The X-Men are terrified because it knows their names. Professor X tried to reach Logan's mind, but it's gone. And Magneto just confessed he brought it back. Now the bones walk, and they don't forgive. The dirt cracked first, not from above, from beneath. In the dead of night, under a black Canadian sky, the wind howled across the forest like it knew what was about to rise. A grave sat undisturbed for 3 years, surrounded by claw-carved stone markers. No flowers, just warnings. Then the soil buckled. A low vibration trembled through the trees. Birds scattered. A buck stopped breathing mid-step and bolted. The metal hand punched through first. No flesh, no skin, no blood, just adamantium, gleaming, pure, deadly. The rest followed, shoulders rising out of the dirt like a cursed memory. A ribcage, arms, jawbone, clawed fingers dragging themselves upward. And when it stood, it didn't look back at the tombstone. It didn't need to. Logan was already gone. By morning, the first bodies had been found. Local hunters, torn apart, internal organs intact, except the heart. Always the heart, carved out with surgical precision. The RCMP called it an animal attack. The X-Men didn't agree. Jean Grey stared at the photos with a clenched jaw. Cyclops stood behind her, arms crossed, quiet for once. The wounds were too specific, too intentional. "I felt something last night," Jean said finally. "Not a mine, but something that used to be one." "It can't be him," Cyclops said. "I didn't say it was, but it was familiar, angry, directionless." She paused. It wanted out. Charles Xavier confirmed the impossible 2 hours later. "There's a psychic echo coming from the old Weapon X site." He looked tired, drained. "It's like Logan's essence fragmented, raw, almost instinct." "But he's gone," Storm said sharply. "We buried him. We mourned him." "Did we?" Beast asked, staring at the latest satellite scans. "Because something's moving through the woods with a skeleton laced in adamantium and no detectable heartbeat." At the Weapon X facility, the walls were covered in claw marks, some decades old, some hours fresh. Metal doors had been ripped from their frames. Surveillance wires snapped mid-recording. The only footage left showed a single grainy frame, a humanoid silhouette glowing in infrared, walking down a hallway without skin or muscle. But it moved like Logan. It paused where he used to, and it ignored everything except the scent of blood. At the mansion, Professor X reached deeper than he had in years. He cast his mind out across the void, searching for the familiar snarl of Wolverine's presence. But what he found was different. There were no thoughts, just violent pulses, animal bursts of memory, claws, screams, the scent of Sabretooth's fur, the rage of losing Jean, the moment adamantium flooded his bones, the time he begged to die, and no one let him. And beneath all that, a name, not his name, a target, Magneto. Xavier opened his eyes, gasping. "It's not coming after us. Not yet. It's going after Eric." In Genosha, Magneto sensed it before he saw it. The birds went silent. The air shifted. The ground seemed heavier. Then came the sound of metal clinking, not gears, not chains, claws. Magneto turned to his loyal guards. "Leave," he commanded. Now, too late. The first was impaled through the chest. The second didn't even have time to scream. Then it stepped through the dust and fire. No eyes, no lips, no skin. Just the full, brutal skeleton of Wolverine, reconstructed, reanimated, moving like death given form. Magneto's breath caught. Logan. The skeleton tilted its head, as if remembering. Then it lunged. Magneto threw up a wall of scrap metal, rusted, dented, warforged. It shattered in seconds. Claws sliced through alloy like paper. Eric spun the surrounding rebar into spears, trying to cage it. The skeleton dodged without blinking. It didn't move like a zombie. It moved like Logan, just faster. One claw jabbed for Magneto's throat. Eric barely redirected it with a surge of polarity. The skeleton rebounded, claws spinning in figure eights. It wasn't attacking like a wild beast. It was targeting pressure points. Like a trained assassin. Like a weapon with purpose. Like Wolverine always was. With a desperate push, Magneto sent out a magnetic shockwave that flattened the entire courtyard. Trees snapped. Statues exploded. The skeleton hit the wall and stopped. It didn't fall. It just stared. Then it turned and walked away. Back at the mansion, Xavier collapsed in his chair. "He's not in control," he whispered to Jean. "You mean Logan's still inside?" "No. Worse." Charles clenched his fists. "He's trapped." Jean's blood ran cold. She reached for Logan's psychic trace, like she had so many times before when he disappeared. This time, she found it. But it wasn't a voice. It was screaming. Not words. Just pain. A soul shredded in half. A mind erased, but still aware. Trapped in its own bones. Watching. Feeling. Unable to stop what it was doing. The skeleton wasn't just a body. It was a prison. And Logan was still inside. Deep in the forest, as night fell again, the skeleton crouched over a stream. It didn't drink. It didn't breathe. But it looked at its reflection. No eyes stared back. No face. Just a polished skull. A cage of bone. And buried somewhere within it, rage that never died. The wind picked up. And in the trees behind it, something was watching. The hunt wasn't over. The war hadn't begun. And the man they thought they'd buried was still fighting to come back. But the bones had moved on, and they didn't need Logan anymore. Colossus was the first to bleed. It happened outside Calgary, an empty highway lit only by moonlight and one flickering street lamp. He'd gone to intercept what they thought was a rogue mutant, something feral moving toward populated zones. Beast tracked the thermal patterns. Cyclops gave the orders. Colossus expected a bear. What he got was metal. The thing came out of the shadows without a sound. No heartbeat. No growl. Just claws, straight through Colossus's shoulder. Not even his organic steel could stop them. He screamed. The thing didn't. It moved like Logan, but faster, tighter, more ruthless. A body without hesitation. It vanished before backup arrived. And the wound? Not healing. Back at the X-Mansion, Beast ran diagnostics. "There's something in the claw marks," he said, eyes wide. "Not poison, not infection, memory. It's like the metal remembered how to hurt him." Jean looked pale. "It's evolving." "No," Xavier said from his chair. "It's remembering." They watched the skeleton's latest movement path. It wasn't random. It was a hunt. Every location meant something to Logan. Weapon X, Alkali Lake, Madripoor Docks, and now Genosha, where Magneto once tried to turn him into a mindless puppet. It wasn't just killing. It was settling scores. Cyclops slammed the table. "We stop this now. I'm done pretending this is Logan. It's not. It's a weapon with his bones, and it's getting smarter. He's still inside," Jean whispered. "I don't care," Scott snapped. "If we don't end this, it'll kill more of us." Deadpool showed up that afternoon without being invited. He kicked the door open, humming "X-Gon Give It To Ya," wearing a pink apron and dragging a duffel bag labeled Wolverine's Mistakes. "Tell me the rumors are true," he said. "Because if Logan Skeleton is out there killing people like it's on a Netflix revenge tour, I want in." "No," Storm growled. "This is serious." Deadpool dropped the jokes. "Exactly. That skeleton is still Logan on the inside. And that means he remembers everything. Everyone who ever hurt him. Which is bad news." He pulled out a list. "And his name was third." "You made fun of his hair," Jean muttered. Repeatedly, Deadpool nodded. "Also may have swapped his healing factor syringes with glitter glue in 2007. Not important." Beast tapped screen. "It's in British Columbia now. Remote terrain. Minimal population." "Then let's go before it moves again," Scott said. Night fell hard and fast. They landed the Blackbird deep in the woods. Snow crunched under boots. Jean led with Xavier linked to her mind. Storm and Nightcrawler flanked. Beast scanned for heat. There was none. Deadpool didn't need to scan. He just talked loud enough to be bait. Logan, I brought chimichangas and bad decisions. Silence. Then a breath. Jean froze. She felt it, something moving nearby. Not alive. Not dead. Just awake. Beast's scanner went black. EMP burst. Xavier lost connection. Then a scream tore through the trees. Nightcrawler was down. They found him bleeding through the side, teleporting uncontrollably. Each jump more panicked than the last. I saw it, he gasped. It knew me. It waited. The skeleton had set a trap. It didn't chase them. It lured them. Wolverine had hunted for years. Now his bones remembered every trick. The team scattered. Storm called lightning to light up the forest canopy. And there it was, just standing in the clearing, staring up at her through the rain. No skin, no flesh, just that perfect adamantium frame, claws glistening, bones dripping snowmelt. Jean stepped forward, eyes glowing. Logan, she whispered. The skeleton's head turned slightly. It didn't attack. Then it spoke. Jean. The voice was wrong, dry, hollow, like words scraped across steel. But it knew her. Scott raised his hand, optic blast charged. Don't, Jean said. The skeleton didn't move. Jean reached out telepathically, and this time she was pulled in. She didn't find a mind. She found a maze. Memories slamming into each other. Weapon X chambers. Claw surgeries. The first time he saw her. The time he failed to save Mariko. The smell of his own burning skin. Screams. Ice. Blood. Bone, and at the center, a mirror. Logan staring into his own skull. He was inside, trapped, watching everything the skeleton did, begging to stop, unable to move, screaming into a mind that wasn't his anymore. The skeleton took a step forward. Scott fired. The blast ripped through trees, and the skeleton tanked it, flipping back with perfect precision. Logan's fighting style. Logan's reflexes. But no pain, no fatigue, just forward motion. Storm hit it with lightning. It staggered. Beast tackled it. Deadpool shot it in both knees. It still kept moving. Jean screamed. He's still in there. You're hurting him. Cyclops didn't stop. Then we kill it before it kills more of us. The skeleton lunged. Beast was thrown 20 feet into a tree. Storm lost consciousness. And then it froze. Deadpool stood in front of it, unarmed. Do it, he said. Take me off the list. The skeleton raised its claw, then paused. And it walked away. No attack, no hesitation, just gone. Back at the mansion, the team was silent. Nightcrawler in recovery. Storm barely breathing. Beast concussed. Scott furious. Jean sat beside Xavier, shaking. I was inside, she whispered. He's alive in there. Logan's soul is still trapped, but the skeleton, it doesn't care. It has a purpose, Xavier said. It's finishing something. What? Deadpool answered first. It's not after revenge anymore. They turned to him. He held up the list. It's after closure. Jean whispered the next name. Sabretooth. Magneto stood alone beneath the broken spires of old Genosha, where rusted monuments whispered reminders of failure. He knew it was coming. He didn't run, didn't hide. Instead, he summoned every fragment of metal in the ruins to orbit his body, an armor of guilt and readiness. He could feel the skeleton's weight in the air. Not presence, just pressure. Like gravity had decided to follow someone else now. It stepped into the courtyard without sound. No warning. No blood on its claws today. Just bone, steel, memory. Magneto didn't flinch. Logan. The skeleton kept walking. Stop. It did. That shook Eric more than anything else had. I didn't mean for it to become this. The skeleton tilted its head. You want a confession? Magneto's voice cracked. Fine. I pulled your bones out. I brought them back. I needed the perfect killer. The skeleton didn't move. I tried to replicate the Weapon X formula, he continued. But not the man, just the frame, the indestructible part, a shell that would obey. He raised a hand and spun a nail around his palm. I used cerebro data, cloned neurons, interlaced omega reds, regenerated blood with adamantium fragments. It was brilliant, efficient, cold. He lowered his hand, but the bones didn't stay hollow. He stepped forward. They remembered you. The skeleton launched. Eric raised a wall of rebar just in time, but the impact shattered the structure. Magneto was thrown backwards, armor peeling away like paper. Claws raked across his side, sparks flying as metal met metal. His blood spilled into the dust. He grunted, catching the skeleton in midair with sheer force of will. It hovered, suspended. I brought you back to kill mutants who betrayed their kind, Eric hissed. Traitors. Mutants who surrendered to humans. You weren't supposed to wake up. Not you. The skeleton twisted midair and slashed downward, cracking Magneto's magnetic hold. He crashed to the ground, coughing blood. Jean's voice echoed in his mind. Charles had sent her through a psychic relay. Eric, stall it. Jean and Scott are coming. You don't understand. Magneto growled aloud. I didn't bring back Logan's soul, just his skeleton. I swear it. The skeleton landed with a heavy thud. One step, another. The claws began to glow faintly, magnetized, charged from the fields around them. Magneto raised both arms, channeling raw magnetic fury. Then what are you? What's inside you? The skeleton stopped, and it spoke again. Pain. The voice was a mix, Logan's snarl and something colder layered beneath it. A synthesis of memory and vengeance. You made me again, it said. So I wouldn't feel. So I'd be your weapon. The claws retracted, then popped out again, shink, as if remembering what they were made for. You buried my soul under your science. Magneto gasped. So you are him? I was, the skeleton said. Now I'm the part you couldn't kill. It lunged again, faster than thought. Eric caught it with a scream of desperation, wrapping every shred of metal from the ruins around it like a cocoon. He hurled it skyward. The bones soared until they sliced through the magnetic net and came crashing back down like a meteor. This time, it didn't miss. Claws pierced through Eric's armor and pinned him to the stone floor. The skeleton leaned down. You turned me into a memory that kills. Magneto coughed blood. I tried to erase your pain. The skeleton whispered. That was all I had left. Jean and Cyclops arrived seconds too late. Scott blasted the skeleton off Eric with a full-powered optic beam, ripping half the ruins apart. Jean held what was left of Magneto's chest together with trembling hands, telekinetically slowing the bleeding. Eric looked at her, eyes dimming. He's not Logan. Jean shook her head. No, but Logan's still in there. I made a monster, Magneto whispered, and it still cries in its sleep. He died before he could say more. The skeleton rose from the rubble without effort. One leg shattered, but reforming, adamantium rebuilding itself like it remembered how. Jean stepped in front of it. Logan, I know you're in there. I saw you. The skeleton froze. I'm pulling you out, she said. I don't care how deep you are. I don't care what Magneto did. The skeleton twitched. Jean pressed harder psychically, reaching for the broken fragments she saw before. A memory hit her like a punch. Logan's first night at Xavier's school. Alone, scared, pretending he didn't care. A flash of pain when he saw Jean smile at Scott. A blurry nightmare of fire, steel tables, screaming his own name and forgetting it. The skeleton shook violently. Jean grabbed its face with both hands. You are not this. You are not just this. A voice echoed through the air. Xavier, reaching in with her. I have him, Charles said. Keep holding. But something else came too. Another voice. One Jean didn't recognize. It said, Logan can stay. This shell belongs to us now. A blast of psychic static threw Jean backward. The skeleton stood upright again. No hesitation. No trace of conflict. Logan had vanished from the surface. And whatever was underneath just took control. Cyclops helped Jean up. What was that, he asked. Jean wiped blood from her mouth. There's something else inside the bones. Scott looked back at the skeleton, now walking away again. And where's it going? Jean stared into the distance. Her voice trembled. It's following the list. The skeleton didn't stop at Genosha. It tore through the snowstorm like it didn't feel the cold. Logan's body was long gone, but the rage was still warm. Sabretooth never stood a chance. They found what was left of him hanging upside down from a radio tower in Anchorage. Heart ripped out, claws pierced straight through his spine. No blood trail, just the stench of a final, unfinished rivalry. Jean watched silently from the aircraft. He didn't just kill him, she whispered. He ended something. Deadpool leaned closer to the monitor. That's poetic. Kinda messed up, but poetic. Xavier's voice echoed in their minds. We've run out of time. I need to try one last psychic dive. But this time, I'll need to go in fully. No barriers? Jean asked. No walls. No shields. Just me, and whatever's left of Logan inside that metal. The Blackbird hovered low above the Canadian Valley, where the skeleton had stopped moving. It stood at the center of an old battlefield, one from decades ago. Xavier knew why. This was where Logan had first escaped Weapon X, the place he'd truly become himself. Now it had returned, like the bones had unfinished business with the earth that gave him pain. Charles entered the mindscape like slipping underwater, and instantly he was drowning. Flashes tore through him, memories so sharp they cut, hands slicing into muscle, screws tightening against skull, screams in reverse. Logan watching his own skin burn off while someone else controlled his arms. Again, again, again. And in the middle of that torment, trapped like a dying heartbeat, was Logan, curled, naked, eyes wide. Xavier called out. Logan looked up and didn't speak. He couldn't. His mouth was gone. His own mind had caged him. Charles stepped closer. I'm here. I can pull you out. Logan grabbed him, then shoved him back with one thought. Run. The skeleton outside twitched. It looked up. Jean gasped. Something's changing. Inside, Charles saw why. Another presence was rising behind Logan's broken mind. Darker, smooth, synthetic. It wasn't Logan's pain. It was someone else's programming. Someone had embedded a second consciousness into the Adamantium. You're not alone, Charles said. You're not the only voice. The other presence took shape. It didn't have a name, just an idea. Erase the weakness of memory. It lunged. Charles barely escaped the mind before the presence tried to consume him. He snapped back into his body, gasping. He's in there, he said, but he's being devoured. Someone installed a failsafe, another entity. It's feeding on Logan's rage and growing stronger. Scott clenched his fists. So we can't kill it, and we can't save him. We can, Jean said quietly, but not as a team. She looked down at the coordinates. I need to go in alone. The wind cut through the valley like a blade, but the skeleton didn't flinch. It stood completely still, claws retracted, bones gleaming in the pale sun, as if waiting. Jean landed alone. No X-Men, no Deadpool, no Cyclops, just her. She walked slowly toward it. No powers, no shields, no fear. Logan, she whispered, I'm not leaving you like this. The skeleton turned. No eyes, no face, no breath, but its claws extended with the slow finality of a drawn weapon. She didn't move. I know you're in there, and I know what's fighting you. The skeleton twitched. The claws clicked once, then retracted. That was her opening. Jean closed her eyes and dove. This time she didn't knock. She broke through. The mindscape hit her like fire. Steel, screams, chains. 1,000 versions of Logan, all shattered. Every death, every kill, every person he couldn't save, every part of himself he hated. The skeleton had become a vault for every memory he'd tried to bury. And at the center, Logan was kneeling, fading, his body dissolving into sparks of white light. Jean ran to him. You're not done, she said. You're still fighting. Logan looked up. I can't control it. You don't need to. You just need to wake up. He shook his head. I'm not coming back. This thing, whatever Eric did, It's not me. It never was. Jean grabbed his face, then destroyed from the inside. You're not a weapon anymore. You choose. The presence came roaring back, black tendrils wrapping around them both. The synthetic consciousness Magneto had embedded, twisted with Omega Red's blood and Xavier's stolen DNA. A monster born from silence, purpose, and precision. It stabbed through Jean's mind like a virus, and Logan finally screamed. In the real world, the skeleton went berserk. It dropped to one knee, slamming its claws into the frozen ground. The valley cracked beneath it. Energy surged around the bones, adamantium vibrating like it remembered being forged. Inside, Logan stood tall. He looked at Jean one last time. Tell Charles, I remember everything. Then he roared. He didn't fight the skeleton. He became it. The presence inside shattered as Logan took control of every memory, every failure, every scar. He stopped running from his pain and used it. In a blinding pulse of red and white, the skeleton exploded from within. Jean was thrown from the mindscape, landing in the snow. When she opened her eyes, the bones were gone. All that remained was the adamantium, a lifeless heap, no glow, no movement. Logan's soul had burned clean, and he was gone. Later, back at the mansion, Xavier stood over the remains. We didn't lose him, Jean said softly. No, Charles replied. He saved us from what we turned him into. Do you think we'll see him again? Charles didn't answer, but in Cerebro's quiet hum, a new signal blinked once, then vanished. Somewhere far away, in a place where flesh means nothing and memory is all that's left. The bones stirred.